Hello sports fans, this is the Dog H. Weber with another edition of Weber on Sports Express here on FingerLakes1.com. I would be remiss if I did not tell you that yes, the pie felt good last week and people that have viewed the show were spectacular numbers. I didn't realize there were so many people. I should understand there are a lot of people that want to see me get nailed. But enjoy it. We'll do it in a few more months. We'll probably have another special guest come in to do the honors of hitting me with a pie. But thank you for all the wonderful feedback as I got nailed last week with the pie. And thank you to the Zuzu staff for taking part. Well, folks, I'm broadcasting the show on a Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. Tomorrow, what's that stand for? Rugrats return. As they head for school, the parents schedule their Bloody Mary parties. The moms in the area cannot wait. And the dads probably as well, as the kiddies go off to school, turn over the responsibilities for most of the day to the wonderful teachers. Good luck. Well, one word to describe Labor Day 2011, yuck. What a miserable day. Oh my, good day to stay inside and read a book. That's exactly what I did. Well, let's talk about some college football. Syracuse, Kenny's Two Pennies will be bragging about his big win against Wake Forest. I was telling Jimmy Senecropi that if the starting quarterback for Wake Forest had not gone down with a sore knee, Price, I'm not so sure SU would have won that opener at the Dome. They looked a little out of sorts for most of that game, but they did come on late to win. Final score 36-29. But SU's got to play a lot better, in my judgment, to contend in the Big East. And, of course, name me the most overhyped team in the world. One thing about Notre Dame football, they have the best following in the world. People in Israel watch the Notre Dame football games live. That tells you about their support. When Notre Dame plays another team on the road, it's an instant sellout. Restaurants are filled, hotels are filled, and of course the stadium is filled. You got to give Notre Dame their credit. But one thing you got to take a look at is a reality check by all you Irish faithful. All the ladies and all the men checking me out this week and who've maybe graduated from Notre Dame or had friends or relatives graduate from Notre Dame, I give you my due. They got the best bookstore in the world. They got a fantastic legacy. They got great tradition, but they're overhyped. Can you spell overhyped? They're just a mediocre football team. That's it. They're down inside the 5-yard line against outmatched South Florida, going in for an apparent score to lead 7-0. Oops. Let me remind you of Chris Berman. Fumbling, bumbling, stumbling. The ball pops loose. The South Florida kid runs 96 yards the other way. From what was going to be a Notre Dame 7-0 lead, turned out to be a South Florida 7-0 lead. They're ugly. They're mediocre. They bring Brian Kelly in from Cincinnati. He is not touchdown Jesus. They don't have the material. They're just a mediocre football team that's going to have to scramble to get 6 W's. How bad was the Notre Dame loss to South Florida? They were ranked 15th in the country, in some polls ranked as high as 11th. Charlie Schaefer, a graduate of Notre Dame, after the loss, went to his closet, found his 7 pairs of Notre Dame underwear at $28 a pop, and went outside and burned them in the back of his lawn. They had to call the cops. Charlie Schaefer is so disgruntled over this loss that he burnt his 7 pairs of Notre Dame underwear. But let's get off this hype on Notre Dame. They're just another mediocre football team. Get over it. Reality check. Carol Burnett, I've been bad-mouthing AJ, or is it Carol? Let me say this much. His last performance was quite impressive. He gave up the home run, the 2-run shot, but overall he didn't pitch badly. But I'm not about to say on this show that he's arrived. I want to see 2 or 3 more consecutive performances of Burnett, and I don't mean he has to throw shutouts. He's just got to pitch competitive. He's got to keep his team in the game. If he does 2 or 3 more in a row, I might change my opinion. And who says you can't put lipstick on a pig? It certainly has worked with AJ in his last outing. How about that young kid from good old Yankee land, Jesus Montero? You know, anytime the Yankees try to put together a blockbuster trade, anybody on the opposite side of that spectrum who's trying to get the player from the Yankees always brings up, we want Jesus Montero. The Yankees are never going to get rid of this kid. He's a catcher, and he's a phenomenal hitter. He not only hit 1 home run yesterday, which was Labor Day, he hit 2. Standing O's. He was brought back out of the dugout twice. What a fantastic talent. And the Yankees continue to steamroll. They are leading 3 games in the loss column. They look dynamite. But keep in mind, I still have suspects about that pitching staff. More in upcoming shows. Well, in the world of golf, you have to feel sorry for Ches Reavie. How many professional golfers would stand away looking at the green from a .17, middle of the fairway with a sand wedge? Wide open green, you just got to get it on the green, 2-putt, you win. $1.3 million, Masters, U.S. Open, British Open, etc., etc. All the perks by winning a prestigious tournament. He hits it long, he doesn't get up and down. Webb Simpson wins in the playoff. As Jimmy Senecorby was saying, Ches kind of smiled. He picked up $800,000. But how many professionals would not have parred from 117 yards? Think about that. As Jim pointed out, probably 50-60% of pros from 117 yards would make birdie. He could only make a bogey. Kind of sad. How about some statistics on Dustin Johnson, DJ? First time in the history of the PGA Tour, since they've been keeping stats, that a person has led the field after 4 rounds in driving distance and driving accuracy. Dustin Johnson. He was leader in both categories. He missed making the playoffs by 10 shots. You think he needs some work on his wedges and putting? I kind of think so. And sort of sad about Nick Watney. Nick takes a 9 on the easiest par 5 in the world, their second hole at Boston. He gets done, he gets ready to sign his scorecard and take a jet out of there, take a couple of weeks off before they reunite in Chicago. And the scoring got a call from one of the fans saying that when Nick tried his 4-shot from the hazard area, he'd hit a rock, went back in the water. As he was walking around the green to walk 60 yards back with his caddy, he slammed his club in disgust, which you and me would have done the same thing. That, of course, is a violation. You can't ground your club in a hazard while the ball's in the hazard. Add 2. So from what appeared to be a 9 on the second hole from Nick Watney, turned out to be an 11. Golf can be truly cruel. And this bum, Jim Tressel, switching to Ohio State. You know, I'm not a big fan of this guy. He's a cheater, a liar. He really did some bad things when he was the coach at Ohio State. I always respected the Indianapolis Colts organization, the NFL. They hired this clown to be a game day consultant, to be the guy up in the booth, to ring down to Caldwell, the coach, if there's an issue about throwing one of those challenge flags. Why did they give this guy a job? He's immoral, he's a thief, he's a liar, he's a bum. That's all I'm going to tell you about Jim Tressel. Switching back to baseball. If you're a Syracuse Chief or a Rochester Red Wing fan, you got problems. The Chiefs finished another woeful season. They haven't made the playoffs this century. And oh, by the way, you want to go west and talk about Rochester? Rochester did something dubious as well. They lost their 90th game in 2011. 90. You know what's significant? That's 90 losses 2 years in a row. You got to go back to 1903 and 1904 for such woeful baseball. Personally, the dog would rather watch 25 straight episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians than watching either one of these clown outfits play baseball. Well, it's without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the persons of the week. The person, first off, is my buddy Doug Brown, capturing the 2011 Seneca Falls Country Club Championship under yucky, miserable conditions, playing my buddy and his buddy, who've been playing with each other in matches every Saturday for 30 years, Steve Hyde. Doug Brown versus Steve Hyde for all the marbles for the 2011 Seneca Falls Country Club Championship. Doug besting Steve on the 35th hole under miserable conditions. I find it great that these two friends, all these years, these two guys that play golf every weekend for ha-ha, would end up playing for all the marbles. Great match. Congratulations to my buddy Doug Brown. And don't worry about Steve Hyde. He'll be back. Also, as we close out, I'd like to say kudos to everybody connected with the St. Anthony Festival. That's a don't miss for me and my wife Mary. We enjoy it. All the folks involved in working on the St. Anthony Festival, I tip my cap to all of you. A spectacular job. And special kudos goes out to my buddy Joe Perdico for getting the Father of Beatini Award for all that he does. Well, folks, don't forget the Dog and Polly podcast comes up tomorrow, Wednesday, and our special guests will be Jeff and Penny Teed, the owners of the Finger Lakes Impact football team. And of course, that should be exciting as well. We'll hope that you'll join us. Take care, everybody. That's a look at sports my way.